2012 season, Lee started to show wear and tear on his body after 17 seasons of racing in the British League and 4 years in the Grand Prix, all those championship events that Lee was racing in. He was already making post-retirement plans for his Speedway career. He had raced 17 long seasons. He was ready to retire. That 2012 season was a difficult season for Lee. He had a series of problems with his bike, engine problems. He had lots of problems and they weighed heavy on his mind. By this time, Lee was suffering a form of exhaustion from all those races. You know, Speedway's difficult on your body. Just ask some of those retired racers. And he was tired, and he had a race in Poland like midweek. And then also by the weekend, he had a match, a team match in England during the weekend. Lee had emailed the promoter of the Polish league. He had asked him for some time off, saying that he was exhausted, just needed some time to rest. Lee added the engine problems were big and they caused a lot of stress on his mind, and his mind was just not in the right spot for racing. And he pleaded with the promoter, please, let me take the week off. Lee had apologized to the promoter, saying that he apologized for not performing to the best of his ability. He just needed that time to rest. He needed that time off. However, Poland's a very competitive country when it comes to Speedway. And in Poland, it's all about the money.
Show me the money!
However, they paid Lee a lot of money. And the promoter of that Polish team, he wrote email back to Lee and he said, no way. You know, it makes you wonder, like, how would it be if the promoter just said, Lee, just take this week off. We'll see you next week. Fear and exhaustion just overcame Lee at the time. His close associates and friends and sponsors, they said that Lee had a look of fear and exhaustion in his eyes. He just wasn't up to racing Speedway. Lee contacted his people and said, I don't want to do it. And by the look of Lee's face, maybe he knew something. Maybe Lee knew that something bad was going to happen. That's happened to me a few times in my life, where I knew if I had gone somewhere or I'd done something, that something bad was going to happen. And by the look of Lee's face, there was fear in his eyes, and something just was not right. Speedway is a great sport, but once the love and the passion is gone for the sport, the sport can become very dangerous because you're not ready to race and you're susceptible to injury at that time. Also, Speedway is a glorious sport. It's really a great sport. However, it can be a tragic sport too, and it also can cause injury and even death. For young Lee, it would have been much better if his flight was canceled or he just missed the airplane. When Lee arrived to Poland, he was immediately met by the Polish team. They had a new engine for him, and his brother Craig was going to put it in, and the Polish team said, no, 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 that's our job. They kicked them out and they went ahead and they installed this brand new engine on Lee's bike.
Liftoff will start in T-minus 10 seconds.
The match was set for that night, and young Lee, he went ahead and asked the promoter if he could test ride that engine. He's never rode it before, never raced it. And Lee rode that engine a few laps, and he came back and said, that thing is faster than my bike. It's a different feel, and that bike has a lot of power. It's fast as a rocket.
3, 2, 1.
Speedway bikes are supposed to be 497 cc's by law. And what the Polish team did is they took that Speedway engine, they were tinkering with it, and they put a short stroke piston in a long stroke engine, and it's supposed to increase the power by 50 cc's. So young Lee was racing a 550 cc Speedway bike, not a 497 cc Speedway bike, and the power band was just simply different. Some may say that it's not a big deal just adding 50 cc's. However, it's like 10% of the engine performance and power, And the bike just runs a lot different. And then it happened, event number 3. Lee had a bad start off the gate, and he was coming off turn 2, and the bike was just not in good control. And Lee had a very nervous look on his face before the race, and he just looked nervous, and then the crash happened. Lee was mortally wounded with internal bleeding, and the young superstar would not survive. The Speedway world was stunned. Lee was the most high-profile rider to have passed away in a generation. An outpouring of love and support followed. But immediately after the crash, the Polish team, they took that motorcycle, took it in the pits, they tore that engine off immediately, and that Speedway engine disappeared. It was never seen again. So I wonder, what did the Polish team know? What did the Polish team do to that engine? Later, it was confirmed that that engine was oversized, and it was an experimental engine. And it was an illegal engine too. You know, cheating has consequences when you cheat at anything. And this was one of the most serious consequences of all, a loss of life. Lee had no experience on that engine, just a short practice, but he never had any racing experience. And his mom, Julie, she got really upset, and she never was involved in Speedway. His mom, Julie, she was very upset about this whole situation, and she totally washed her hands away from Speedway forever. I can totally relate with Mom Julie. You know, my mom used to come and watch me race. One time I won all the races, 6 races, swept the main event. My mom, I was very happy, and my mom says, "I'm gonna have a heart attack. I don't wanna see you ride ever again." And she never did. I can totally relate to the Richardsons losing their son at age 33. Just last year, I lost my only son at age 33, and for a parent, it's really heartbreaking. Lee's father, Colin, he doesn't blame Speedway for the accident. He just said my son's time was up. However, Colin gets a chance to watch YouTube videos and other pictures, and he remembers his son fondly, although that will never bring him back. There is perhaps nobody who thrived more in the red, white, and blue of Great Britain than Lee Richardson, who was inducted into Great Britain's Hall of Fame. A Speedway Grand Prix rider for 4 years, scoring a total of 234 points in 38 meetings. Racing 17 years in the British League for Reading, Poole, Coventry, Swindon, Eastbourne, Peterborough, and Lakeside, winning numerous awards and championships. But more importantly, Lee was a gracious, kind-hearted man with a genuine smile and time for every Speedway fan. He was a husband, father of 3 children, a brother, and a son. We will never forget the legend of one of the most amazing human beings ever, and that was Lee Richardson. Rest in peace.